Hi, my name's Jonathan Hicks. I'm back at the Dice Cup, and this evening I'm joined by
Mark.
Steve.
Dave.
Steve. And we've just finished playing Navegador, which is a fairly dry Euro, really. You are sailing your ships. We start off in Portugal here, and you're kind of sailing around the world here, trying to collect colonies, which gives you things like gold and spice, and then you're effectively selling it. There's a little market board up here to get lots of money, and then you're spending the money in various ways. You can buy more ships or workers, I'll talk about those in a minute, to get you end game scoring. In terms of the way you actually play the game though, there's a nice little rondelle, so each of you has one of these pieces, and you on your turn you can move up to 3 spaces in front of where you are. So if I'm here, I can use this action, or this action. So the sailing action is fairly straightforward. If you start off here in this one, you can take as many ships as you like, and they're going to move a certain number of spaces depending on how far through the game you are. So they kind of move slowly at first, but they speed up as you go through the game. And then other actions you might take here, if you go to the colony space, that lets you effectively buy one of these colonies. So this is like a gold colony, and you're going to have a whole pile of these. You see I acquired a few of these during the game, and these will let you sell, whether it's gold or salt, I think we decided it was, and spices, which you're acquiring from the various places around the world. So the market action is where you go to sell, and it's a nice little market board in the sense that when you sell salt, then the price goes down, and you can also buy some buildings on the building space. They've all gone now, but you're buying various buildings to help you process goods. So in this case, these are the spice processing ones, and when the goods are processed, you get a slightly different price, this one at the side, but that makes the price go up. So some people will be selling it, which makes it go down, and then you process the spices and it makes the price go up. So these kind of fluctuate up and down a lot throughout the game, so you're often having to pay attention to what other people are buying in terms of their buildings. You can see Dave's got a lot of the processing buildings, Mark's got a lot of the gold selling buildings, so that's quite interesting. A couple of other actions then. You can go to the ships to buy more ships. You can go to the workers to buy more workers. The workers are important because when you go to the building spot to buy the buildings, you can only buy buildings according to the workers at the side here. So if you had 6 workers, I could buy one of the buildings on this row and one of the buildings on that row, because I'm sort of using 3 workers each. Or I could maybe go for one of these big ones at the top here. And the buildings help you in various ways. I explained about the processing here, but you also get these buildings which make the price of buying workers cheaper, or the price of buying ships cheaper. And obviously there's a spot here as well where you can buy ships. And then finally, really, what it's all aiming for is the privilege spot lets you get various bonuses. So there were a bunch of tiles here, which you can see I've placed on my board now. But at the end of the game, you're getting points, a certain number of points, depending on how many you've got of different things. So the first row is like colonies, so you count up how many of these you've got, and I would be getting 1, 2, 3 points at the end of the game for every colony. And as I say, you're buying these privileges, so you have to try and buy these to increase your point scoring at the end. So I was kind of aiming to get the church things, so I was getting 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points for each of my churches. And once somebody, usually either someone gets to the end here to Nagasaki, or if all the buildings ran out, which happened in our game, then you counterport your points based on your point scoring things here. Whoever has the most is the winner. What do we think?
Yes, it's a nice little game. I think it's a couple of years old now, but it kind of feels like, when I first played it, it infuses bits of other games, like a light market board and a relatively light rondel system. It's not the most complex one of all time. Basically, you can move 1 to 3 spaces unless you do something special. You're buying buildings, moving around. There's a bit of a slow race going on in the fact that you do want to get to some places quicker than others, but you don't actually really feel like you have to rush around the rondel too much. Just make it a priority in the next couple of actions. Like I said, because it's a little bits of different games, I always feel like it's quite nice. It all works quite smoothly. It's really simple to play and teach relatively. It looks a lot more complex than it is, and yeah, it's a nice mid to mid heavyweight Euro, I guess.
Okay, Steve?
I really enjoyed this game. I wasn't part of this game that you were playing tonight, but I played last week, and I found it a very, very attractive game. The board looks absolutely lovely, and there's so many different strategies that you can do. You can go the ship route and go all the way to Nagasaki, or you can go the builder route. And the good thing about that is that no strategy is the best one. It depends on what everyone else is doing, and it has a lot of replayability value with that. So yeah, very, very good game.
Dave?
Yeah, I like what Steve said, how it's there's lots of different strategies. I think you're kind of encouraged to stick to one strategy. Once you've gone for it, you can't do a bit of everything. You find yourself quite stuck if you do that. I like how it scales, so as you go through the ages, the later in the game, things cost a lot more, so workers and ships cost a lot more. So if you've specialised, you can still get them cheap. So if you've built shipyards or if you've built cathedrals, you can get them cheap. So that's kind of further encouraging you to specialise, and these privileges are really great because you have to pay a worker, and I think it's very balanced, and I think I definitely play it a fair few more times.
Okay, Steve.
You've got to be balancing your gameplay with your end game scoring. So basically, if you just acquire lots and lots of stuff throughout the game but don't get any of these privilege tokens, you'll score very low at the end. You're effectively trying to, like Dave says, specialise. I went for shipyards and then make sure I got all the ship privileges, things like that. You can also try and specialise in a way that you copy people on the table. Mark could sell a lot of gold, so I made sure I could process a lot of gold. As long as I kept going to the market after Mark, I could process my gold at a better rate because he's sold it and he's made it really cheap, therefore really expensive to process back up. So if you react to what other people are doing and you're the only person processing lots of gold, every time you go to the market, the chances are that gold will be in favourable position to you. As it was, more people processed gold than sold it, so Mark was in a better position. He was raking it in every time he went to the market because gold was really high. So if you do react to what other people are doing and you are in that niche where it's favourable for you every time you do certain actions, you'll do quite well.
Okay, rating?
I'll go 7.5 out of 10.
Dave?
I go 8 out of 10.
It's definitely an 8 for me. It's a very, very good game. Very
Okay.
good.
Yeah, I reckon 7.5.
All right. Yeah, I think they summarised it well. I like the variability. As I say, you've got to pay attention to what everyone else is doing, and that's often unusual in a Euro. It's a bit dry, but it's quick. It doesn't feel like it takes too long because the turns go round very quickly. Often, if you decide you're going to go into shipping and someone else is going to go to the market, you can almost take your turn simultaneously. A lot of the time, people will be doing something, you've gone to the market, and then suddenly it's back to you again. So I like how quickly it plays. There is lots to think about, but it's not too heavy. I think it'll be on a 7 out of 10. It's a very good game. All right, thanks for watching. That was Navegador.